Are y'all ready to head off the trails? I'm the Cryptid Huntress, Jessica Jones, and I'm ready to take you on a mysterious journey right now. We welcome you to Off the Trails right here on Spaced Out Radio's YouTube channel. If you hadn't hit subscribe yet, please do, because we would love to have you. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, at Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. You can find me on my website, thecryptidhuntress.com, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Cryptid Huntress. All right, visit my shop, War Woman Goods. You can find that on Etsy. I want to give a huge thank you to Bumblefoot for that awesome intro music. I have a great guest for us tonight. I have Craig Jackson here. All right, so don't forget, right after our show, After Hours has a great program for us tonight. So let's get to our guest. Craig Jackson is a Bigfoot field researcher, investigator, and avid outdoorsman from Northeast Georgia. Craig is a wilderness survival and tracking instructor. He is a cave rescue specialist and is a member of the National Speleological Society. Craig is a longtime amateur radio operator and spent many years as a repo man. He's also a Qigong instructor and a very switched on human, integrating the body, mind, and spirit connection into his field research. Craig has spent a significant amount of time in the woods with the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, BFRO, the North Georgia Cryptid Researchers, NGCR, and is a founding member of Enigma Research Group, all of which are, two of them are organizations that I'm a part of as well. And Craig is my longtime friend and my teammate, and I'd like to welcome to Spaced Out Radio, Mr. Craig Action Jackson. Hey, Craig.
Hey, Jessica. Hey, y'all.
Hey, welcome to Spaced Out Radio, Craig. I'm so glad you're here tonight.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, I've been looking forward to talking to you again because, I just love your sense of humor out in the field, and you are just so you're so smart about, just being in the woods and the Bigfooting. You're really good at it. You're actually really, really good at tracking. Okay. And you've been doing this for a long time. You've been doing wilderness survival and you've been a tracking instructor for many years, right, Craig?
Yeah, for many years, but I had a giant rip in my left retina, so my left eye is not too good anymore. So it kind of makes tracking, it actually kind of makes hard walking through the woods kind of hard anymore.
Yeah.
So, but you can still get down there and do it and still teach the basics. Anybody can learn the basics of tracking, but not having that eye kind of definitely hinders me in that stuff. And as far as caving, I hadn't been caving in a long time. I can barely pick my dog up. I don't think I could rescue anybody anymore through this stuff. And I never did anyway. I was just trained in high vertical cave rescue. I never even had to do it. I mean, they've got professionals up there. I was learned through, where was that at? That was Scottsboro, Alabama. They have a cave rescue team that is absolutely stellar. And so I just done training with them. I never had to do it. And I live way down here in Georgia. And thank God, everybody I ever took, we all came out, used common sense and try to get in and out without being a statistic there. But
Absolutely.
So,
well, you know what? Even if you don't get out and do a whole bunch of caving and a whole bunch of hiking and tracking, you're really good at overlanding and off-roading and camping. Okay. And that's stuff that you don't have to get out there and really, well, the camping, it is a little physical, but the off-roading.
I'm 60. So I don't do what I used to. And caving's hard fun. I'm telling you, it's some hard fun. That's some hard fun. But anyway, but I've been there and I know pretty good about it because I've had a lot of experience and a lot of stuff being 60 and still alive. So anyway, that'll be a pretty good show.
Hey, it's fun getting old, Craig, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I made it this far. There's a lot of good people behind me.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And I'm glad I got you behind me as well. And, I met you on my first expedition when I went out Bigfooting. And, I later joined the team, your team, actually, because you were one of the co-founders of Enigma Research Group. And, I'm interested to hear how you got into Bigfooting. Like, what was your first Bigfoot experience? And how did you get in with BFRO back in the day?
Well, I've always kind of been interested in stuff like that. And down in Alabama, they had they had some stuff. What was it called? Now they had several names for it, but so I always wondered about it. But then, years ago I think I watched something on TV about something about discovery of Bigfoot, and they were talking about him being up in the hills of Oklahoma. Because I always thought if there was one or whatever, they were up in Washington or whatever. Never thought too much about it, to tell you the truth. But anyway, so I saw all that stuff there in Oklahoma, and I thought, I've been out to Colorado hunting. I might go hunt for Bigfoot out there or something like that. So I kind of started looking into it. The more I researched, I realized there's sightings everywhere. So I realized that there was a pretty good bit of sightings down there in Florida. Florida was ate up with the skunk ape sightings, and I had to go down to Miami anyway for some more training in Qigong down. So during that Qigong seminar, that's when I was back when I was a repo man. So I took a little bit of time off. And anyway, so I've done some research, and I thought I'm gonna go down there. I'm gonna go out there in the swamp and look around. So I started looking at the research and stuff, and found Collier County down there had a lot of sightings. So then I kind of read a bunch of articles and stuff. I did this for a while, got into it. Anything I get into, I dive in hard. So I was reading all the stuff about Bigfoot and all the sightings down there in Collier County. So I decided, well, instead of going back to Georgia, I'm gonna go down there and camp for a while. So I went out there and I was kind of looking around. Anyway, I found a campground down there, and there was a guy working at this little place. This old guy, and I told him, I said, I'd like to go hiking out here, somewhere. I said, but I don't want to go hiking through the swamp up to my neck, But he said, well, the Florida Trail cuts through so and so, and it's 130 miles. I said, I don't really want to hike on some trail with a bunch of other people too. He said, well, there ain't much choice. He said, well, tell you the truth, they tried to build a subdivision through the swamp down there by the Everglades back in the 50s. And he told me, if you walk down this road, you'll see this sign, and you look across there and you'll see what used to be a road. So I went down there, and he said, I think the road goes about a quarter mile. He used to go down there and take pictures of some kind of flower that blooms once a year, or maybe once a day, or once, a year or whatever. So I went down there and I was looking. Well, that road went for a long ways. I even had like some satellite stuff. I took my laptop I used for repo work, and I had Google Earth back then, the best it would show. And I was looking at that road, and that road went for a long ways, and it was a straight north road. So the next day I got my backpack and stuff, and I had my little camera, and, so I started following that road. That road went for about 2 miles, and you could tell where the road was. It was straight north. I was running my compass that they tried to build a road straight north through that swamp to make a subdivision, I guess. Good God, what a scam. But they had built the road up, and so the road bed was still there. So you could literally walk in on the road bed that was what was left of it, not being the swamp. But it was swamp each side of it, a lot of it, and the road had disappeared and it came back. Anyway, so there I was. I walked and walked and walked and walked for a long ways. When I first started up the trail, there was some sign of some people. There'd been some old shotgun shells, and there was actually an old Toyota truck with a tree growing through it. And there was an old phosphorus pit that they had mined at one time and hit water with a big old gator over there by that thing. Now, mind you, all I had with me was my machete. If I had it razor sharp, my buddy Bruce had sharpened it. It'd take the hair off your arm, because I knew I had about 5 good whacks of whatever come out of that swamp at me. I had to fight with at least 5 good swings. So anyway, I hiked way out that road, and I finally, after about 2 miles, it kind of done like a hockey stick. And I started coming into more sign of people had been coming in from the north. So I thought, okay, well, I've had about enough. I'm trying to go back to my camp. Well, so coming back, I started kind of tracking myself to make sure I picked up on the same, because that road kind of disappeared. And at the end, it kind of petered out, and I was out in these grassy fields. And so I'm starting to track myself back, and I'm coming down the trail, and I look down, and there's a big old track. I had walked right past it the first time I don't know what I was looking at, but I wasn't staring down at the ground, so, and I didn't, when you look down at first without any kind of agent or anything, well, it was scary. I looked down and saw that big old footprint of something, even if it was a person, some barefooted hillbilly running around in the swamp barefoot. I didn't want nothing to do with it. And because it was huge, so it scared me. So I looked around like that. First thing I done is I snatched my machete out. And since I'm left-handed and all holsters and sheaths are right-handed, my buddy had that thing so sharp, he yanked it out and my sheath fell out almost in half. I mean, I cut my sheath almost in half with that thing, because that track was pretty fresh. But anyway, so I kind of started looking around. I wasn't as well tracked as I was when I met the founder of Enigma Research Group,
Mm-hmm.
but still the track, so I looked around for some more tracks and I didn't find any, and I wasn't really sure that I wanted to because I was out there by myself, way out deep, and all I had was that machete and a backpack.
Yeah.
I wasn't
So
sure
no firearm is what you're saying.
No. I had that bad boy, that machete was mean. So anyway,
Yeah.
so I took the time. I had a little tape measure with me, and I had a little disposable camera that I bought down at the Everglades tourist shop. I mean, I got set up because I thought I'm gonna do all my research, and at first I thought I was going to try to find some kind of ape. And lo and behold, I walk out there and right off the bat, I find that track, So anyway, I took a picture of the track and I got back to camp. I didn't lollygag it. I'm telling you, it was, and so now I'm really watching. I'm thinking, whatever laid that track is big, and whatever it is, I hope it doesn't hate me, And so anyway, I made it back to camp, and I got up the next morning and went back to Georgia. Well, when I got back to Georgia, I sent those pictures to Matt Moneymaker, a BFRO, because that's where I've done all the research of Collier County and all that stuff around there.
Yeah.
So Matt sends me back and says, man, that's a Sasquatch track if I've ever seen one. He said, we're going to have an expedition down in South Florida. He said, if you'd like to go down there and help guide some people back to where that track was. I was like, heck yeah, I'm thinking expedition. I'm thinking safari vehicle. I'm thinking, heck yeah, sign me up, So
sounds exciting.
Yeah. Oh, it was, except for I got there early in the first night. Tornado hit about 5 miles away and it rained 8 inches. In a swamp.
8 inches in one night. 8 inches of rain on your first expedition.
Lightning. It really put a dampener on things. And so then where I wanted to go,
hurricane, huh?
It was a tornado. It ripped down there by where Matt and them were going to stay at Everglades. But anyway,
yeah.
So that track got all covered up. Anyway, one thing led to the other. So I was with BFRO for a while, and I like those guys. I met a lot of good people. I met a lot of good people through all that stuff. So anyway, they were having one up in North Georgia. So I thought, heck yeah, and plus Matt, man, he liked me. We clicked pretty good. When the rest of them too, well, there was a lot of good people in there. Anyway, so went up to the North Georgia one, and that's where I met my buddy Lee there, and because he was into different things, and he heard that I was into Qigong, and there was a few other people up there in the North Georgia one that was pretty neat that we hit off. So anyway, so we started doing our own little thing because we live here in Georgia together. Nothing against nobody, but then where it went when we started the group and then started doing the remote viewing and all the other stuff that they didn't want to go there, they wanted to have a TV show, and I don't blame them, but I can't help where the research goes. I wish when I went to that swamp the first time, when I found that track, I thought if I had a big enough gun, enough guys, we'd track this monkey down, by God, and I'd catch him, but then later on I realized that it gets deep. It went so deep, it got so weird that, to this day, I still don't know.
So, Craig, what you're saying is that you went into researching Bigfoot, looking for a primate in the woods. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, some kind of big old something that leaves tracks and eats and poops, and we can track him and get him. But no, it didn't work out for me.
Well, I think that's how a lot of people are when they first get into Bigfooting or they experience a Bigfoot sighting. Is they think it's a primate in the woods. That's what I thought as well. But, after you've been in it for so long, there is a whole lot more to it. As people are calling it the woo these days. I never heard that term until I came to Spaced Out Radio because it was just normal for me. Yeah, they call it woo here. So we call it woo. But it's just that X factor, and there's different camps, there's still people out there that really think that it's just a primate in the woods. And that's okay. Everybody's got their opinion on it. Right. But but it seems like your research has taken you on a different trajectory, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, from thinking it was a primate to realizing that one can come right up on you and not make a sound, or come through the woods sound like a bulldozer. Then remote view it, and it has to do with ETs and flying. So it's just not what I was expecting. I'd have got into something else like arrowhead hunting or something, that I could deal with. But man, this stuff got weird and it got deep. And in ERG, we were going places where few people wanted to talk about. Then you showed up. You fit right in. Pow!
I did.
Like, hey, you did. You clicked. Boom! She's in there. She's part of it. And because we were like-minded for sure. So anyway, so I don't do a lot of research anymore because I'm pretty sure I can't, tracking's a variable skill, and we can go there about how powerful it is or whatever too, and caving and stuff. And I'm telling you what, if I can't go catch one. I can't get one to pose with me to take a picture. If I did, nobody believed me. If they gave me an autograph, nobody think it was real. So, we were just more like in the first contact and kind of make contact and see more about them, but I don't know, then remote viewing into the weird stuff, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. How special is that to be able to have an entire team of remote viewers on hand to look into the high strangeness that we experience out in the woods?
Oh yeah, you can, it makes it real confusing.
You said it makes it real confusing. It actually just makes it more confusing because honestly, it does leave us with more questions.
You get more questions because now you're getting detail. Now you're getting data that just leads to more questioning stuff, especially when it's weird stuff that, you don't ever throw data away, even how weird it is. And then all of a sudden you come back to that weird stuff and you think there's some kind of connection between this weird stuff. I mean, I don't know. There's some strangeness out there. I mean, I witnessed it. You can think what you want to till you're right out there. I've been standing there with other people. It wasn't me having hallucinations. I mean, we've had an interaction for 2 hours with them, and but so I don't know the whole thing. I mean, it's very strange. I mean, do they live out there all the time? I mean, or do they live in caves? Do they go to where we remote viewed them to where it was not on Earth? I mean, or some of them do that. The only ones that can do it. The rest of them they got in trouble and they got shot down here in the swamp. They have to spend the rest of their life in that swamp. They're like, oh my God, I hate that. There's a lot of stuff in flying saucers and.
Yeah, Craig, I actually had a question in the chat tonight from Travis. He said, do they swim around in the swamps? And I think he's referring to Sasquatch. Do you think that they swim around?
Sure. Yeah, pretty sure they're great swimmers. Never seen one or tracked one, but I'm pretty sure that they get down in those canals and can use those. If the swamp's real thick, the best way sometimes to go is the water. Same things up here, if the creek or the river's big enough, they go by the creek. But yeah, they probably can swim very well. No doubt about that. But that would be my logical thought.
Well, they do have big feet, and they say people with big feet swim better, right?
Yeah, a squirrel can swim, whether it thinks it can or not. So I'm pretty sure Bigfoot's got that point covered.
Yeah, like Michael Phelps of Bigfooting, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Man. All right. Well, let's go back and talk about caves for a second. Okay. Because, you know a little bit more about caves than I do, a lot more about caves actually. And, a lot of people have the idea that Sasquatch are responsible for some of these missing people that are missing out of our national parks. Okay, so let's go there tonight. Actually, let's talk about the missing people because you and I are out in the woods quite a bit, and we've been doing research for a long time. You've been doing it longer than I have. But we know that there's a real danger in having missing people in the places that we actually go do research in. Okay, people that just drop off the face of the earth with no explanation as to where they went. Okay, and now David Paulides has actually written about these cases of the missing people, and there's thousands of missing people, and there's no database at all. There's no law that says there needs to be a database with our national parks with the missing people. And that's a little concerning for me, as well as most of the general public. But, where those people are going, we're not sure. However, Craig, our team has documented what we call a portal, and we've sent people into it, and then they walk back out, and they live to talk about it and tell the story of what happened. And there's a lot of dangers out there. But what about caves? Okay, let's talk for a minute about caves and. What are the odds of people just disappearing in the caves? And what are the odds of Bigfoots living in these caves and taking people into the caves, never to be seen again?
Well, there's thousands and thousands of caves with a combination of thousands and thousands of miles of caves. And the ones that I've been to, which has been a lot, are the one that obviously people know about. And so going to caves all over the place that other people know about, those people, and I never heard anything about that. Now, I had read some stories about some of them being entrances like of old coal mines and stuff, which that makes sense. But a lot of these caves, if I know it and somebody else knows it, well, then Sasquatch probably knows it and he probably wouldn't use that one. But that doesn't say that he's not using one. People find caves all the time. These caves grow. And there's caves. I've been in one that I don't know is over 25 miles long. But so and leading to an underground base too, what you wouldn't believe what you have to go through sometimes just to get 1 mile deep. So either they, and I'm not saying it couldn't, but I mean, I don't, there ain't no easy way in. I'd hate to make that walk every day to work, hike 20 miles through some kind of cave into something that'd kick your butt. So, and I've never really heard a lot of stuff through the caving community of anything like that, but it doesn't mean anything. All that limestone up there is like Swiss cheese. Could they have a base under there? Sure they could. And they're going in and out better than I would, putting on all my caving gear and my lights and crawling through that stuff, some of the caves are as big as a gymnasium, and some of them are like you're trying to crawl under your bed, and you never know. At mile 15, it might turn into a gigantic stadium, or at mile 15, you might crawl till mile 17. So
interesting.
But old coal miners. I mean, I've heard stories, but I don't know if they even have to. I don't know if they even have to shelter in something like that. And another thing, I mean, I'm not saying one couldn't, abduct you or something like that. But I mean, if they all wanted to, I wouldn't be here alive. Just like some crazy guy might want to drag you behind a wood pile, but he might not want to drag me, But so maybe they act different ones. But I just don't see a lot of Bigfoot trying to do abductions. But I don't know. That doesn't. I don't tempt them. They could be the ones that have to go up to the ET and go to wherever it was, but I'm still confused about that. From all the ones that other ones I see, did they all do that? Right. Or just some of them? But so caves, I don't know if one was in that area and it could take shelter for some reason. Well, I'd get in there, but you'll never see a deer. You'll never see a deer go inside that thing. Deer don't live inside a cave.
Interesting. Here, I've actually got a map of the cave systems, or some of them that are charted here in the United States. And, they're the ones over here near where we live over on the East Coast are kind of run up the Appalachian Mountains, okay, up the mountains, up that range. We have a lot here right above Georgia where we live. Oh,
the deepest pit in the United States is in the northwest corner of Georgia. The northwest corner of Georgia, the northeast corner of Alabama, and Chattanooga, where it sits right there. We call it the tag region. Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia's ate up with caves, but there's a pit called Ellison's. It's 550-foot vertical rappel. After you go through an extreme amount of other pits, 200-foot rigs to get to it and stuff. It's a brutal, and you either have to come back up, which means you have to carry twice as much rope, or you can do a whole through trip. But the deepest cave in the United States that a vertical pit is up there in northwest Georgia. It's ate up with them. People find caves all the time. The caves are always expanding, but I've never really heard any kind of horror stories about finding. Let me tell you what, you take a dump or something in a cave, it's going to stay there for a millennium. And so you don't really see a bunch of weird tracks or anything that would leave you up. I have seen fires. We found a place where the Indians, I got showed this, we got permission to go in there where the Indians had went through there with torches and stuff and built a fire, and that stuff stayed there for, I don't know. So anything that does and leaves tracks, a lot of that stuff stays there. And I'm telling you, those caves are tough, and there's no way it's going to go through all that stuff for some. I don't know why it wanted. I did it for fun. It was the hardest stuff I ever done, but I don't really see one. And if there's some big giant cave, everybody know about it. But that's not saying there's not a portal into that Swiss cheese.
Well, that's a whole other element right there.
Yeah, that'd be the way it is. But you're not. So if they're using a portal, you being a caver or just a spelunker. Cavers rescue spelunkers. In case you don't know what the difference is, spelunkers get drunk and lost and get hurt, and it takes a caver to go rescue them. But
kind of a lot of good info tonight.
There's not a lot of it out there of that I've heard. Right. But like I say, it doesn't mean that it doesn't, because all that stuff is like Swiss cheese, and it goes way beyond where you can only go so far without staging. You have to stage something. You can't even carry that much food and stuff and fit through there to go forever. But I just don't see one doing all that. But
okay. Well, Craig, there is. I do have another map of the missing people clusters all over the United States, and it kind of correlates with the caving systems, actually. So I just thought this was kind of an interesting, correlation, and I thought it was worthy of noting tonight that a lot of these missing people clusters, this is from the David Paulides Missing 411 map, it correlates with the cave systems. Okay, now, whether that has something to do with it or not, I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's wilderness and it's mountainous around those areas. And maybe it's just caves. Maybe people are just getting lost. Who knows? But see, you and I know about the portals out there.
Well, that map also looked like it kind of ran the pull that map back up. It also has a correlation to do with hillbillies. I don't know if they have something to do with it. That's all up in them hills. But you know, but I mean, it is the correlation with missing people, or is that the attraction? That's a beautiful something to go look. People come missing, either they get lost, or they could get hurt, you know. And but also people get abducted, you know, and so then you find some people. But what is weird is when they were just 50 yards away to go get some firewood, and they're never seen again. You know, there's something to that.
That's true.
So yes, that's some true weird stuff. So you can't blame that on just the hillbilly came down there and snatched them up real quick, like, or a Bigfoot or something. A Bigfoot could now, because I'm telling you, that thing come right up on you won't even be able to see it. I don't know how it does all that stuff, but so it could, but I don't know why. I wouldn't, if I was a Sasquatch, the last thing I'd want to do is snatch up some stupid person. I try to stay as far. I try my best right now, stay away as far as I can.
I know, right?
Unless they trade them up, if they, you know, maybe the alien tails, maybe you know, he snaps his fingers, he's in some kind of trance, go get me that idiot down by the creek, you know, and the next thing you know. So I don't know. There's a lot of questions, but the stuff happens. They go missing. They're missing the correlation of caves. They're missing, you know, and that's a lot of people that go missing. And I mean, it's a whole bunch of them. So I mean, there's some weird stuff. Like strapped life. I don't know. I'm gonna try to shoot my way out of it. It might not work, but I'm going down. Shoot.
Right. I absolutely would trust that you would do that, Craig. Brown Dwarf says that some say the missing 411 map matches Bigfoot sightings map. It's interesting you say that, Brown Dwarf, because guess what I have to show you guys tonight? The Bigfoot mapping map. The Bigfoot mapping map. Does that make sense?
If you notice, Bigfoot's really he's only kind of not in very arid, desertous type of stuff. So here again, it doesn't. A lot of people, you want to go out in the middle of Death Valley and have a picnic? No, let's go right up, you know. So then the people concentrate more where there's, but I don't know if that has something to do with it. I know a lot of people go missing or something weird, because some of them go missing because they were just 50 feet right over there getting firewood. It's not like they took a 6-mile hike and I'm supposed to be back at 6 o'clock at night. No, they were just right over there. Or you're both walking up a trail. I don't know. He stopped to take a leak. Now, you never seen him again or something, but that stuff happens, and that's what's weird. And then they can't find him or find their shoes where they take their shoes off. Ain't nobody in their right mind will take their shoes off out there and the stuff. So that's definitely something affecting them. But is it Sasquatch? I don't know. And something like that, I'm afraid I couldn't even shoot my way out of it.
Well, you know, Craig, last night I had a very interesting conversation with my guest, Fred from Alaska. Actually, I had about half a show of a conversation with him because his internet gave out. And so I may have had that conversation by myself, actually, with my audience here last night. But it was about berry picking. Okay. And in Alaska, Fred has a lot of videos and a lot of stories on his YouTube channel about people who are picking berries, salmon berries and blackberries, who have a lot of interactions with Sasquatch up in Alaska. Now, that's something else that's in that Missing 411 series of the accounts of people that went missing, is they went to go pick berries. Okay. So I made that correlation with these missing people, okay, with him having those berry videos on his show. So there's certain things that people cannot do or do, and it's going to put you at a higher risk of disappearing.
Well, you wouldn't think picking berries, but I mean, so if that's the case, then okay, let's say it's something to do with berry picking. Either it knows that berries is an ambush spot, or, you know, I couldn't understand a bear being down there. Maybe most bears run away from me. Up here they do. They ain't got no grizzlies and black bears. They don't want nothing to do with you. But maybe attacking you. But just to come missing from picking some kind of berries, and it happens quite often, you know, more than just once, is kind of strange that you know, it's either knowing that it's some kind of an ambush, or I don't know, they might have already had a marker on it. They might already know, say, look, Wednesday did it, it's going to go back down there again. This coming Wednesday, going to get some more blackberries. I want you there and pick them up and bring them back to the spaceship. Got it. Does it work like that? I don't know. You know?
Well, you have an interesting point there. Yeah. ET. Let's talk about ET for a minute, Craig. Okay, so do you as you went into the woods looking for a primate in the woods, you at some point were led into a situation where there might be ET involvement. Okay, tell me a little bit about that. Tell me about some of your experiences with the
that
ET.
was up in doing a little bit of tracking to some of the people we had up there in Salt Fork, Ohio. So at night we went out messing around doing some research and went hiking, and there was 4 or 5 of us, and we kind of got split up. And anyway, so we started having some rock throws, and the rock throwing was going on. And then the group got separated, like I say, because someone went to dump the batteries in their pocket to get their lights back up. We were trying to just use red back then, but there was also a beaver that splashed his tail. My God, it scared me to death.
Oh, I've had that happen. It's terrifying.
Having these rock throws, and then I heard something coming through the woods. Now this thing was making a ruckus, breaking limbs and carrying on. And so the other part of the team, they were having stuff too. So this went on for a little bit. Then it kind of died down. Then we kind of got together and we went to where we were going. Then we went back to camp, and so decided to remote view the whole incident. And it seemed like the remote viewing, we had 2 right there with us, and one of them was old. And one of the guys that was remote viewing, is a hypnotic remote viewing, could go in there, and then one of them had like arthritis. He was so old. And I don't know if he couldn't throw his rocks real good, but the other one done pretty good. But so it was kind of weird that he could pick up on this thing had arthritis. So then we started going deeper into it, and so it went on to see what the whole thing was about this Bigfoot right here. Well, it had to go out into the woods, and it had to walk up to something that when you looked at it, it kind of looked like a stump. But if you remote viewed it, it was more like this electrical thing. And when you looked inside of it, kind of like a loofah sponge, but with electrical stuff. And then when you try to remote view into that, it would push you out. So this Sasquatch, this one, maybe it was an old general, I don't know. But anyway, his thing was to go down to that box. And this is weird. He could go down to that box, then he could go eat. Don't know what he done at the box, if he uploaded information, downloaded information, whatever.
Wow.
So went beyond that part to see, what about this box thing? That's weird. Because whatever he could go, he was going to the box, he, she, it, misgender that thing. And then it could go eat. So what about the box? Well, started doing remote viewing on there when the box was placed there, which looks like a stump when you look at it, but it's not. It was placed there by an ET and a small craft that come out of a bigger craft. So then we got inside the craft right there, remote viewing of that thing, going to the other one, and it got weird. But anyway, so the Sasquatch could also go to wherever this other place was remote viewed. I don't know if it was something. It wasn't here on Earth. It was kind of like Mars looking, and it was a hot area, and it had to go in to some kind of base. And I don't know, long story, but so yeah. That's also when I thought, this is really weird for a Sasquatch. First it had arthritis. That's kind of strange. And then it had to go to the box. Whatever happened at the box, you couldn't remote view inside the box. The box wouldn't let you remote view.
Yeah. Wouldn't let you, interesting.
Neither would the spaceship. Wouldn't let you do it.
That's interesting, because what that sounds like is the Pavlov experiment, where the dog could eat. That back in the day they had the Pavlov experience where I believe it was a dog could go up to the box and eat when it completed its task. Okay. So it sounds kind of like the Sasquatch. Maybe it was working for somebody. Okay. And maybe, it's interesting that we're bringing this up, because last night I made a connection to Sasquatch guarding the gold mines up in Alaska. Okay. And I had a whole show last night on basically the gold mines in Alaska. And I made the point after Fred lost his internet, I started talking about aliens a little bit. And I was making make the point that, they say the ancient aliens, came here to mine gold. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
And perhaps.
Used them for workers or something, probably,
Yeah. So maybe that's what Sasquatch is being used for by aliens, perhaps.
Yeah,
it's just a theory.
If I was a Sasquatch, I might guard a by God gold mine. compared to one of these nothings up here in the hills. But yeah, it could be because gold's very, it's very medicinal. It's got a lot of, that's what the aliens want it, I mean,
Yeah.
sure. So I don't know, but so here I am, and there it was. Started off, found that track, and then next thing you know, you got this thing going to the box and ETs and spaceships, and then it going somewhere else. It wasn't nowhere around here. It wasn't nowhere, Alabama, Hawaii, nothing like that. That thing was on some other planet going. Then it had to go to work. I don't know if he went to work or if he went home or what it was. And so see, the more of that stuff that shows up, well, then that just added a whole bunch of questions to what in the world compared to want to go see if we can find this monkey running through the swamp,
Yeah.
So, and I don't think all of them, and plus there's everything else, some of them, those skunk apes, man, they had some tracks like giant turkey, big old 3-toed something. I don't know what that thing is. The dog man, we got the dog man stuff right here about South Carolina. I don't know what that thing is either, but I know, I don't believe nobody's lying and stuff. I've seen enough weird stuff. Me and you together, we've seen orbs, we've seen all kinds of weird stuff that I don't, everything's energy, and I try to be cool to everything, but I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff out there I don't have answers for. Somebody tune in tonight to get to the bottom of it. Craig Jackson, I hate to bum you out.
But at least we're out there. We got our boots on the ground, and we're trying to figure some of this stuff out. But it's true, we have more questions than answers at the end of the day. Now, Craig, I did do a remote view. I remote viewed the lizard man of Scape or Swamp. Okay, and that was on my remote viewing show on my YouTube channel, The Cryptid Huntress. If anyone would like to check that out, yeah. And so the lizard man actually has 3 toes and had 3-toed tracks. So in some of these cases, it might not be a Bigfoot. It might not be a Sasquatch. It could be a lizard man. I mean, who knows?
Could be a lizard woman. There you go. Trying to do
a lizard woman. Okay. Excuse me. Okay.
Oh, we don't
absolutely.
know if that's what it is. It could be just, I don't know, but so that's weird.
It is weird. Everything's weird these days.
Now the camera footage of all these little people and weird aliens. You don't know if the stuff's Photoshop. Is that for real? That's some weird stuff. And I've seen all kinds of weird shadow figures coming in and out of rooms and stuff. I know all that's for real, but I've been through some
lots of orbs.
I had one touch my neck one time, but yeah, I don't know, a lot of weird stuff out there. So you ought to be able to have 5,000 episodes trying to figure this stuff out.
Well, you know what? We're just going to tell our stories, and maybe we can figure some things out along the way. But Craig, I think it was last year. You and I and Keith and Bruce, part of our team, we went up to Northeast Georgia to go investigate some Bigfoot sightings at a state park. All right, I had a park ranger contact me saying that they had at least, I think it was 8 Bigfoot sightings in 1 month at this one park that wasn't too far from where you live, and it just so happens to be in the area of the Georgia Guidestones. It was just right down the road from there. And so I figured I'd show this picture today since it was relevant, considering the Guidestones were exploded this week and demolished. So that was an interesting trip, right, Craig?
Yeah, it was an interesting trip. It sure was. That was a neat park, though, and all that quartz that we found up there on that ridge top. Remember all that place? That was
I have some in my bedroom, actually. I have a bad habit of taking quartz out of the locations that we investigate.
That's a good habit.
It could be, but I think it's great. I love it. I bring home a souvenir for my son every time we're out there. However, I know that there's something called the stone tape theory, and there's no telling. Sometimes, they say at the Bell Witch Cave, if you bring home a rock from there, you're cursed. So I have to be careful about that. I think.
You take control and reprogram it yourself. You reprogram it. You get out of that rock, snap your neck.
That's a great segue, Craig, because you are a Qigong instructor, right? And you practice Qigong. Tell me a little bit about your Qigong practice.
Well, I used to be an instructor back when I used to live down in Atlanta. But back in the day, it was hard to get anybody to do any Qigong and know what it was. Everybody kept thinking I was saying that she's gone, like she's gone somewhere, like my wife's gone or something. But yes, I was an instructor down there for a few years, and Qigong is a very interesting, very powerful healing modality type
Hmm.
So I'd recommend for anybody, and it helps you tune into the energies and pick up on, it just helps get to tune in with the energies, and then you realize that everything is energy, and it helps with all the other stuff that we've done by connecting energetically. But yeah,
It does.
that was years ago when I was doing Qigong.
Yeah. Well, you are very psychically switched on. And so I think our whole team is to an extent.
Yeah, the
And I
best
think that
team I've
really
ever
helps.
seen. Well, the
Yeah.
best team I've seen. I know, but I think we helped start a lot of stuff, and you did too by opening it up that there's more to it than, nobody wanted to say Bigfoot and UFO in the same sentence. I mean, they already think you're damn crazy enough to even mention Bigfoot, then throw in UFO in there, and they know you're off your meds. So,
Exactly. Wow.
but he
Now,
opened up the thing because that's where it led. I didn't want it deleted there. I wanted to go track a monkey down and get to the bottom of it, throw a net around it, and get on TV and move on to something else in my life. But no, it didn't work like that. Not by a long shot.
well, do you
So
think that really has stumped the research field in a way because a lot of groups are not willing to go there with the data?
yeah, well, no, there's a lot of people that I mean, I didn't want it to go there, but any data you get, I was taught you don't throw it away, throw that stuff on the table, and if it shows back up. But yeah, so it's weird because there's definitely an ET connection, but then I don't know, I just can't see them all doing that stuff out of the swamps and stuff. I mean, when I was down there in Florida, we were surrounded by, I don't know, at least probably 3 juveniles and maybe 3 or 4 adults. I mean, they don't all go to that red planet at night, or I don't think they all have to walk to the box to eat or something like that. So, but I'm telling you, some of that does happen with some of them. And so I don't know, but they're out there
Yeah.
now. And thank God if they do abduct people, none of them ever been around one to abduct me. They probably don't even like me. Like saying might abduct you or something. But I don't. But I don't think Bigfoot abducts people. And if they do, it's going to be the ones that does all this stuff of going to the box and having to do all that crap, because I think on the average they just want to be left alone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of like us humans.
kind of like some of us humans. And when we're
Yeah.
down there in Florida, it was all fun and games. There was nothing. I've had hostile stuff towards me too, but this was all fun and games. At first they were knocking, and when we went out there, I mean, it was everything. They were never got to see one, but they were whoops and whistles. They were doing that samurai chatter. That's how I knew that they were juveniles, because I could tell by the tone of the voice compared to a big deep voice. They were juveniles, but these things didn't just knock when they did, and I call it a knock. I'm not so sure that that's what it. I can't say they're knocking on a tree with a stick, because I've heard these same knocks all over the southeast United States, and no tree sounds the same. And where we were down there in Florida, none of the trees sound good. As far as it sounded like, at first one sounded like somebody was trying to chop down an old oak tree, or actually hitting it with the backside of an axe. It was some mean knocks, and those were the adults. But when we went back there, I guess the juveniles came up, but they could come right up, and I mean, they wouldn't knock once; they'd knock like 4 times, like pow, 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 and not make that night. Never heard nothing. Now the substrate was kind of in Florida where it was sandy and stuff, but still, there's litter laying around where you'll make some noise walking through the woods with no light on. But
Hmm.
so we had 2 hours of these things, hooting, whistling, samurai talk, and then right there at the end when we started back to camp, we had one come right up to us. I guess it was probably 10 feet away from Lee and about 12 or 13 feet away from me, and it had us knock 4 times. Bow, bow, bow. I say knock, whatever that is, but I mean, I can pop my tongue, how loud I can do that,
Yeah.
but I don't know. So anyway, it doesn't, and it was right there, and it never made a sound. It never made a sound when it came. It never made a sound when it left, because we didn't turn the lights on right away, trying to do some of that first contact stuff. But after a while, there was no sound of it leaving, so we turned the lights on. There was nothing there, and so the next day we started doing some tracking around there. There wasn't even much sign. The only really good sign was right there close. It looked like something had crawled with knee prints and some hand prints up to a tree, but not a lot of sign for all this stuff. I mean, they were around us the first night, it was nothing but black bear. I never seen so much black bear poop in my life. We got to that camp. I got out of the truck and started looking around. I thought, oh, there's some bear poop. And I was trying to, there's some bear poop. Everywhere I looked, everywhere. I've never seen nothing like it. My lake can't even set up a tent. I thought, I ain't never seen nothing like at a bear farm. And so
I don't think I'd set up a tent there. That sounds dangerous, Craig.
Well, they had to park a Kubota bucket on the dumpster to keep the bear and the Bigfoot out of the thing. So, man, the first night, Jessica, there were so many bears coming to camp. So the next night I was going to get set up to take a picture. One of my buddies took a picture. It might have been Rod. Was it A-Rod that got the picture? Somebody got a picture of the bear coming up the hood of his car. He's inside looking out the window with his camera, you know. But the second night, there was no bear. The second night, the Bigfoots came out. There was no bear, man, and the Bigfoots come out and they hoot and hollered with us and carried on for 2 hours. It was magnificent. And there was no hostilities, never felt scared. You know, the knocks right there was definitely scary, but, you know, there was no rocks to throw, or they might have threw some. There was no rocks down there. I noticed that. I thought, you know, there was not really any rocks per se there. It was somewhere near Ocala, but, so that was very interesting that night, having them come right up to us without making a sound and do all that, and then go away without making a sound. So that's weird stuff.
It is. Well, I got another weird thing to talk about. Nikki Nicole in the chat says, where are all of these numerous beings sleeping? That's a great question. What do you think, Craig?
Not with me. That's a good question. And so I wonder, you know, because a lot of times you might find like a bedding down where I think they may bed down, but do they sleep there like a deer does? I mean, the deer beds down every night. A lot of things do. Some things nest, you know, and some things have dens. But these things are big, and sleeping in dens and caves, I don't know. They're pretty tough, but people think shelters. You see these little stick shelters. You know, Sasquatch won't crawl his butt inside that stupid stick. Unless it goes into a portal or something, he don't have to do all that stuff. A deer don't build. So, I don't know. The monkeys in the wild, they don't really build huts or go try to find a cave. I don't guess. I don't even know where I don't know where a monkey sleeps. Where does a monkey sleep? I don't know.
That's a good question. But, maybe in a tree?
I don't know. Probably, so same thing with
probably in a tree.
I wondered the same thing, you know, but then, you know, how come you never find a dead one? Well, I've never even found a dead black bear in the woods, and I've been in the black bear stuff so thick. I don't hardly find a dead crow. You don't find hardly dead anything in the woods. The woods takes care of itself. And so I don't know, but got a lot of questions. I wish I had more answers for everybody.
I know.
But in the Bigfoot, it can get real weird, but they're real, and you can just do the simple stuff by going out there and just kind of being out there and have stuff happen to you, which is, you know, depends. It's all new. I've only had one real bad experience, or one hated me, and it could have just been some, I don't know, maybe didn't like blonde-haired fat boys. I don't know, but that was the only time. Other than that, I've never really had anything real scary happen to me. I've never been chased out of the woods. That one time I was chased out of the woods, but other than that, it's all, you know, I just don't. And that one, I think if that one really wanted me, I guess he could have swam across the Etowah River and got me. But he couldn't, because what took me about 25 minutes to hike down into that night took me about, I put my safety glasses on. See, I was prepared. When that thing started screaming, me and my buddy Bruce, we had our safety glasses in our backpack. We put our safety glasses on. We put our headlights on, and we ran like little girls out of that.
You're ready. Yeah.
Thing was screaming bloody murder at us, but that's the only hostile. I've never had any hostilities with all the stuff we've had. Even with any of the paranormal stuff, you know, orbs and all this stuff, and the red balls of light, whatever all that stuff is, and the lights coming off the mountains that night down there to us, and I don't know. So
yeah. It's all weird out there. It is. But, you know, I like the fact that you said you put on your safety goggles, because that prevents the sticks from poking your eyes out as you're running through the woods.
Yeah, as you're running.
Running for your life.
Running for your life. Safety glasses. I've only got one good eye now.
Put on safety glasses. I can't believe you even thought of that before you started running. I don't think I would have had time to, fumble those out of my pocket or my fanny pack, whatever I'm wearing.
Part of my gear.
Yeah.
Safety glasses.
Yeah. Well, Craig, you know, you're really into survival and prepping, and you know, and that's part of you know, with the being a tracking instructor and just being in the wilderness. what is the best advice you can give people about survival and doing tracking and things like that? I mean, I know that you had something to do with a video that our team shot not too long ago. So tell us about that.
Well, that was in 2010, wasn't it? So it was 12 years ago, huh? Time flies.
It does. It's been a while.
Yeah, but we have a tracking video. It's on DVD if anybody even owns one of those. If you don't know what a DVD is, player, you have to Google it. Remember what that was. But it's a really good tracking video to get people of basic tracking. I mean, my God, you wouldn't believe what we went through to make this. It's a 2-hour video, and it is absolutely stellar on basic tracking. And if you're going to do any kind of Sasquatch research, or if you're going to go in the woods, period, but let's say you're going to do Sasquatch research, you need to know about tracking, and so you can decide what was real, what was fake, when was it done? Was it done today? Was it 2 months old? And it goes on and on and on about what you do, because you go further than just reading a track. There's a story in this stuff, but we only have 8 minutes. So, but yeah, so this is a very good DVD to get people into the basics of tracking. Anybody can track. You don't have to be an Indian or nothing like that, but it helps to have both eyes. And it just takes practice and doing the basics. It's all, and this basic tracking right here will be the same whether you're trying to track a deer or a Sasquatch, and all of it can be very important. It could literally save your life if you're knowing how to track, knowing what's coming, what's been through the environment. Have I already been through there? Where am I going? Am I walking in circles? Is he walking in circles? There's a lot to tracking, and just knowing the basics can absolutely be, it's super valuable, not just in the research. It is just a super valuable thing to know, is some visual tracking. You don't have to be an expert at it, but it's a valuable lesson anybody can learn. So I highly suggest anybody could get a hold of this thing. This thing's in DVD. Maybe we could do some way to where you could sell them for us if anybody's interested. But if you can get out in the woods, do anything outside, if you're going to sit in a chair at camp all night and drink beer, none of this is really important. But if you're going to get out there and do some tracking and stuff and try to figure out what's going on between stride, if this thing's walking 9 miles an hour and you're trying to track every single track, and you're moving extremely slow, you're never going to catch this thing anyway, or so you're going to try to do some kind of sign cutting techniques to shorten the track line. But anyway, tracking, to be a visual tracker is a good survival skill. But
I've got a handful of these too. So I actually have a handful of these here with me. And so what I can do, I can put these on my website, thecryptidhunters.com. If anybody wants one, I'll put some on there tomorrow. How about that? Or tonight. I'll put some where you guys can purchase those. It took a long time to make this. Our team worked very hard on this.
2
It
years. Because it rained. You believe how it rained a lot when we were trying to do this. Now tracking's not easy, but tracking in the rain, trying to show somebody in the beginning, it's rough. Pine straw alone is kind of tricky, but there was a lot to it. But I highly recommend it. I guarantee it's well worth. We sell them for $20. I don't know, give them to them for 15 or 2 for 20. I don't care, but it's a very important thing. And but I know one thing: if you give one to somebody, they won't watch it. So take your money out of your damn pocket and buy it, and then you'll watch it, and then you'll think, well, that was well worth $20, because it's a $200 minimum tracking course worth of information right here. If we had to come out and teach y'all to track, minimum $200 a person for us to go out there and do all this stuff. $20, 15, no brainer. So anyway,
absolutely. And tracking's fun. Yeah. Tracking is one of those skills that everybody should learn, human tracking and animal tracking, because it's really good for just survival. I mean, my goodness, if the apocalypse happened to hit or something, it's just good to be able to track, or, if somebody goes missing one day, to go do a search and rescue.
Exactly. Yeah. Very important skill. No, there's a lot of survival skills all of them are good to know. That's why I've been doing it since I was 17 years old. Now I'm 60.
Yeah.
I never really had to use my survival skills, thank goodness. But I've been in a lot of tricky situations, but I'm usually always prepared. So not usually, always.
You are. Anyway,
we'll have to get together again and talk sometimes, and maybe we talk sometimes and we'll get something else going about some prepping to help people prepare for this stuff up there. What to take in the field with you. Don't go out there just nothing but a bottle of water. It's good to have this, and the video covers tracking to it. If we had time, I'd just read the back of what this stuff, all the stuff we go over, but we don't even have time for that. But I guarantee you, it's a heck of a video if you want to really learn how to learn the basics of tracking, that is.
Yeah.
So, well, we blew through this hour, didn't we?
Yeah. This hour flies by, Craig. It really does. Yeah. So do you have any plans to get back out in the woods anytime soon?
Oh yeah, well, I'll probably do some overlanding or something, and maybe it's a little bit of camping. No, I have to take care of my mom down there. So when I get away for a few days, I try to set something up to where somebody might be down there at my mom's house. And not that she's an invalid or anything. She's 84 years old and still kicking like a chicken, boy. She can go, but I don't like leaving her down there by herself, and she don't like it either. So not a lot, but yeah, here eventually I'm gonna set something up. But mainly now what I do is just camp, and I go up there into the areas where we have stuff. But as far as putting on my pack and trying to go down there and find sign and cut it, all that, and track it, and I don't. I found out really, if you want, I can get as much action sitting at the camp, chilling, or just walking down one of the roads right there, as much as doing. I know anyway. When I get all back in the day, when I first got geared up, I'd have cameras and everything, and I mean everything. Well, hell, it knew that. They coming through there, stuff slinging all of,
Yeah.
Nothing happens. So like it's a minimalist. The less stuff you have, the more stuff you might have, and do it with love. You're not going out there and try to shoot the thing. And if it pulls a knife on you, have at it. But I mean, don't, and you'll have more stuff with love in your heart than you will be about the vibrational frequency of paranoia and wanting of stuff. Just be cool and
right.
When if something happens, don't freak out, because they're wanting you to run away. If they throw a rock, to just sit there. They ain't going to hurt you. Right, unless they come in and snatch you up and take you up there where the box is and take you to the. I ain't saying.
Oh my gosh! I know. I hope not, Craig. I hope not, Craig.
Those people are going somewhere. But it never happened to us, though. So thank goodness.
Thank goodness. Well, you and I are still here. We've got a lot more woods time in the future, Craig. I can't wait to see you back out in the woods soon. Thank you for being here tonight.
Come on up here. Get your butt up to the corner of Georgia. We'll do it. Oh,
I will. I'm coming. I'm gonna come up there and hang out with you and Bruce. Okay. We'll have another trip soon. As soon as this weather cools off. Okay.
All right.
Well, Craig, thank you so much for being here. I'll have you back again soon. We'll talk prepping and survival next time you come on. How about that?
Bring it.
Okay, awesome. I'll see you soon, Craig. Thank you so much. Okay, have a good night. All right, y'all. That was awesome. I love Craig. Don't forget that right after the show, you guys can join Big Willie and Grant on After Hours. They're going to take you on an incredible journey for the next 3 hours. Next Saturday on Off the Trails, my guest is Raymond Zemansky. We're going to be talking about top secret UFO and paranormal activity. I can't wait for that. And by the way, you guys, this Tuesday night, I'm going to be taking over the captain's chair, filling in for Dave Scott here on SOR. And I have a paranormal researcher and author who is actually a friend of mine named Trey Hudson coming on as my guest. So for now, I'm the Cryptid Huntress, Jessica Jones. I'm headed off the trail. You guys, thank y'all so much for being here this weekend. It's been a blast. I'll see you guys this Tuesday. Y'all have a good night.